"Oh, poor little sister," my brother laughed after he bankrupted my business. "You never had what it takes to run a company." He was too busy gloating to notice the documents I'd just signed. By tomorrow morning, his empire would be mine. This is my story. Before we move ahead, please subscribe to the channel. I packed the last of my belongings into a cardboard box, my hands steady even though my entire world had just crumbled. 5 years of hard work, of late nights, and impossible decisions, all gone in a matter of months. And the man responsible for it, my own brother, was lounging in his leather chair, watching me like a cat that had just swallowed a canary. Nathan's voice dripped with satisfaction. "If you had just listened to me from the start, none of this would have happened," he said, adjusting his Rolex as if this was just another routine business deal. "Tech companies need strong leadership. Being nice doesn't cut it." I ignored him and kept packing. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me react. But inside, I was replaying every moment that had led to this. Every trust I had placed in him. Every warning sign I had ignored. He had used our family dinners, moments when I had let my guard down, to gather intel. I had shared my worries about cash flow, about expansion struggles. And while I thought I was confiding in my brother, he had been taking notes, planning his attack. One by one, he had lured away my best developers with inflated salaries and stock options I couldn't afford to match. He had whispered just enough doubt into our investors' ears to make them pull out. He had played the long game, and now he was reveling in his victory. I took a slow breath, pulling the merger agreement toward me. "Just sign the papers, Nathan," I said, keeping my voice even. "You've won. Isn't that enough?" He smirked as he signed, too busy gloating to wonder why I wasn't fighting back, too blind to see what was really happening. Nathan leans back in his chair, exuding smug satisfaction as he watches me tuck the signed documents into my folder. To him, this is the final scene of a movie where he's the brilliant mastermind and I'm the tragic fool who never saw it coming. He doesn't notice the way my fingers tighten around the papers, not in anger, but in satisfaction. He thinks he's won. He always did have a blind spot when it came to underestimating me. As I pick up my box of belongings, I glance around the office that once felt like home. The glass walls, the whiteboards covered in ideas, the desk where I spent countless nights chasing something bigger than myself. It should hurt to walk away from it, but it doesn't, because this isn't the end. Nathan doesn't know what he's just done. Our father had always been a man of strategy. When he built his empire, he made sure that his children wouldn't destroy it with petty rivalries. His will had a very specific clause, one that Nathan clearly never bothered to read. It stated that for either of us to maintain our shares and voting power, we had to be actively involved in the industry. If one of us were removed from our position or forced out, the majority control would automatically shift to the other. And now, thanks to Nathan's so-called genius takeover, he's just handed me the golden ticket. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I pull it out and glance at the screen. It's a message from my lawyer. "Takeover complete. Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow." Congratulations. I bite back a smile as I slide the phone away. I wonder how long it will take for Nathan to realize what he's done. How long before that cocky grin fades from his face? He thought he was outplaying me, but he walked right into the trap he set. I turned to face him one last time, offering him a small, unreadable smile. "Good luck, Nathan," I say lightly. "I have a feeling you're going to need it." And with that, I walk out, my head held high. He took my company, but I just took everything from him. Nathan sits at the head of the long, polished boardroom table, legs crossed, fingers drumming against the surface. He still thinks he's in control. The board members are murmuring amongst themselves, some congratulating him on his so-called victory, while others exchange wary glances. They sense something is off. They should, because everything is about to change. I take my seat, placing a neatly organized folder in front of me. My lawyer sits beside me, calm and composed. Across from me, Nathan smirks, but it's thinner now. a little less confident than before. Maybe he's picking up on my demeanor, too steady for someone who just lost everything. "Alex," he says smoothly, leaning back in his chair. "I'm honestly impressed you showed up. I know losing must be difficult, but don't worry. I'll take good care of what you built." I smile. "Oh, I'm not worried at all, Nathan." I let the silence stretch, then slowly open my folder. "Before we continue, I'd like to remind everyone of a specific clause in our father's will." I slide a copy of the document across the table, watching as some of the board members lean in to read. It states that for either Nathan or me to retain our shares and voting rights, we must remain actively engaged in the industry. If either of us is removed or forced out, our shares automatically transfer to the remaining sibling. Nathan frowns, but I see the exact moment the realization hits him. His eyes widen and his cocky posture stiffens. I lean forward. "By forcing me out of my company, Nathan, you triggered that clause. As of this morning, the shares have been redistributed." I let the words sink in. I now hold 60% control of the parent company. A stunned silence fills the room. Nathan shoots out of his chair, his face red with fury. "This is ridiculous," he snaps. "You can't just—" "Actually," one of the board members interjects, clearing his throat, "she can. And as the majority shareholder, she now has the authority to make leadership decisions." I turn to the board, composed and confident. "I'd like to call for a vote to remove Nathan from his position." It takes less than a minute. One by one, the board members raise their hands in agreement. Nathan glares at me, breathing hard, his entire plan crumbling around him. I offer him the same smug smile he gave me. "You should have read the fine print, little brother." Nathan always thought winning was about taking. He spent months scheming, manipulating, and stealing what wasn't his. But while he was busy playing his little corporate chess game, I was focused on something far more important: building. I glance around the boardroom, letting the weight of the moment settle. Nathan is still seething, his mind scrambling for a way out, but there isn't one. Because this was never just about ownership, it was about vision. I tap the folder in front of me. Now that we've handled the leadership transition, let's talk about the future of this company. The board members shift forward with interest. I can already see it, the shift in energy, the curiosity in their eyes. For the past 2 years, my team and I have been working on a groundbreaking blockchain security system. I pull up a sleek presentation on the screen behind me, showcasing the technology. With cyber threats evolving, traditional security methods are outdated. Our technology not only detects breaches faster, but prevents them before they happen. I let the information settle. Some board members exchange looks, intrigued. Others lean in, scanning the details on the screen. The best part? I continue, my tone light but firm. It's already integrated into our systems. While Nathan was busy with his hostile takeover, we were securing the company's future. Silence. Then a murmur spreads through the room. One of the investors clears his throat. "Wait, you mean it's already in use?" I nod. "Yes. We rolled it out quietly, tested it extensively, and the results speak for themselves." I click to the next slide, revealing reports of reduced cyber threats and efficiency improvements. "We've outpaced the competition. This isn't an idea, it's already working." I see it now, the shift in loyalty. Investors who had once leaned toward Nathan's aggressive strategies are now paying attention to me. The board members who were unsure where to place their trust suddenly see the bigger picture. Nathan grips the table, his knuckles white. You didn't develop this alone," he spits. "You had help." I tilt my head. Of course I did. A great leader surrounds themselves with the best minds, something you never understood. The boardroom erupts into discussion, excitement filling the space. And just like that, I don't just own the company. I own the future. Nathan never knew when to quit. The moment the board sided with me, I knew he wouldn't go down quietly. He was never one to accept a loss, especially not one this big. So, of course, he went straight into damage control, calling up investors, whispering in clients' ears, trying to convince them that I was some sort of reckless leader who would drive the company into the ground. But here's the thing, results speak louder than words. Our new security system was already proving itself. Clients saw immediate improvements in their data protection, investors watched our stock stabilize, and the board saw the vision I had been working toward all along. Nathan's attempts to undermine me weren't just failing, they were making him look desperate. That's when he turned to something worse. I wasn't surprised when I got the call from my lawyer. "Nathan and your mother are contesting the will," he said. "They're claiming your father wasn't of sound mind when he made the final amendments." I should have seen it coming. My mother never liked that my father left me in charge of anything. To her, Nathan was the golden child, the rightful heir. I was just the soft-hearted one who didn't belong in a world of power plays and corporate warfare. But my father knew better. I let Nathan and my mother have their moment, let them feel like they had a chance. Then, at the next legal hearing, I had my lawyer press play on a video my father recorded before he passed. The screen lit up, and there he was, my father, looking straight into the camera with the same sharpness he had always carried. "If you're watching this," he said, "then my son has done exactly what I expected him to. Nathan, if you're challenging my will, know this. I was of sound mind when I made these decisions. I love you, but I also know you. This company is not a game for you to win. Alexandra understands that." The room went silent. Nathan's face turned pale. My mother clenched her fists. And just like that, their last desperate move collapsed. Nathan didn't even wait for the meeting to be over. The moment my father's video finished playing, he shoved back his chair and stormed out, his face twisted with anger. The brother who had once laughed with me as kids, who had shared family dinners and childhood secrets, was gone. In his place was a man who couldn't stand losing, especially to me. My mother didn't follow him. She sat there, quiet, her expression unreadable. For years, she had made it clear where her loyalty lay. Nathan was her pride, her golden boy, the one who could do no wrong. And me? I was just the afterthought, the daughter she never quite understood. But now, she had no choice. When the board officially recognized me as the company's leader, she didn't argue. She didn't protest. She simply stood, straightened her perfectly pressed jacket, and walked past me without a word. And that was it. I had won. The company, my company, was mine again. The vision I had spent years building was finally back in my hands. The investors were on my side, the board had faith in me, and our security system was already proving to be a game changer in the industry. But as I sat in my office that night, staring at the city skyline, the weight of everything settled in. Nathan was gone. My mother had made her choice. And despite everything, despite all the betrayals and power plays, it hurt. Not because I wanted their approval. I had given up on that a long time ago. But because somewhere deep down, a small part of me had still hoped for something different. A reconciliation. A moment where they'd realize that family was more than just a competition. But that moment never came. I sighed, pushing the thought aside. I had built something incredible, something that mattered. And I wasn't going to waste another second mourning people who had never truly stood by me. I had lost my family, but I had gained something far greater. Myself. 6 months passed, and life moved forward. The company was thriving under my leadership. The security system we had developed was already making waves in the industry, and investors were more confident than ever. For the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. No battles, no betrayals, just progress. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message from Nathan. At first, I thought it was some legal maneuver, another last-ditch effort to take back control. But when I opened the email, the tone was different. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't a demand. It was just an acknowledgement. He admitted I had been right, not just about the company, but about everything. The way he had let his obsession with power blind him, the way he had used our family connections as weapons instead of bridges. He said he had spent the last few months reflecting and, for the first time, realized that he had lost more than just a company. He had lost me. And then came the unexpected part. Nathan didn't ask for forgiveness, at least not directly. He didn't make excuses. Instead, he asked for a chance to contribute, not as a rival, not as an owner, but as an advisor. I won't lie, I was skeptical. The Nathan I had known wouldn't admit defeat, let alone ask to be part of something he no longer controlled. But maybe that was the point. Maybe he had finally learned what I had figured out a long time ago. Winning isn't about destroying your opponent. It's about changing the game. For years, we had been locked in this cycle of competition, constantly trying to outmaneuver each other, to prove who was stronger. And for what? A family name? A title? A hollow sense of superiority? I didn't respond right away. Instead, I sat with it, letting the weight of it settle. I had spent so much time thinking I had to choose, either win or lose, either keep the company or keep my family. But maybe, just maybe, there was another way. Maybe victory wasn't about taking everything. Maybe it was about building something new. And for the first time in a long time, I was open to that possibility. Leading this company has been the most challenging, rewarding journey of my life. It's strange to look back now, remembering the struggle, the betrayals, the battles I had to fight just to stand here today. But standing here, I finally understand something I didn't before. True leadership isn't about winning at all costs. It's about building something that lasts. Under my leadership, the company hasn't just recovered, it has thrived. The security system we developed has set new industry standards, and we've expanded beyond anything I could have imagined when I first started. Investors trust us, employees are motivated, and for the first time in years, I feel like we're moving forward. Not just surviving, but truly innovating. And it's not just me. The culture of the company has shifted. People work together instead of against each other. Collaboration has replaced backstabbing. I've made it clear that success isn't measured by how many people you beat, but by how many people you bring along with you. Looking back, I realize I learned from both Nathan and our father. Nathan taught me resilience. He showed me how ruthless the business world could be, how power could be used as both a weapon and a shield. But he also showed me the cost of that mindset, how it isolates you, how it turns even family into enemies. Our father, on the other hand, taught me patience. He knew Nathan would try to take shortcuts to power, and he built safeguards to protect what he had created. He believed that leadership wasn't about control, it was about vision. And now I understand what he meant. My leadership isn't about revenge. It isn't about proving a point. It's about building something meaningful. That's the legacy I want to leave behind. Not just a company that dominates an industry, but one that inspires change. One that thrives not because of ruthless competition, but because of the people who make it great. For the first time, I'm not just looking at the next battle or the next challenge. I'm looking at the future, and I like what I see.